The U.S. is running a 50% Section 232 tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum. That's a number hitting Canadian manufacturers right now in the U.S. auto and heavy vehicle manufacturing sector on all customs value of their product, not just the metal content. So my day, oh, this is Jack Jackson Manufacturers Daily. Yep, last day of vacation. Should be able to be set up back in our studio next week. So this week, yeah, the supply chain dive reported on what it takes to get that rate cut in half. So instead of paying 50%, should be paying 25%. But here's what actually requires. Why the bar is higher than most manufacturers realize. In April 2026, President Trump issued a, what is it called here? Proclamation 11021, restructuring the Section 232 tariff regimes on steel, aluminum, and copper. This made two changes that matter most. First, the tariffs now apply to the full custom value of the goods, not the metal content only, as it was past in my days. And then that changed on April 6, 2026. That materially increased the duty exposure across the board for any Canadian manufacturer shipping steel or aluminum. Then second, a separate relief pathway is confirmed, published in the Federal Register on April 23rd. I know, there's so many changes to keep up with. Under the Presidential Proclamation 10984, Canadian and Mexican steel aluminum producers supplying U.S. auto and heavy vehicle manufacturers can apply to have 50% rate reduced to 25%. Well, who qualifies? Well, the eligibility rules are specific. This is not a blanket reduction. Not every Canadian steel producer and aluminum producer qualifies. So to be eligible, a company must already produce steel and aluminum in Canada. So you already have to be a producer here. They must already supply the U.S. automotive manufacturers and medium or heavy-duty vehicle manufacturers. So you already have to be doing it, directly or indirectly, as it says here. All imported material must qualify for preferential treatment under USMCA and must be melted in port and smelted in Canada. Yeah, I know. The last point matters. A melted port origin requirement is the same standard that requires or determines Chinese content surtax on the Canadian side. So that's where I got hit in our day. We got hit with the Chinese. When we finally figured out the Chinese smelted our aluminum, we got hit with a 25% tariff. And then, of course, it had to be reported when we brought in the aluminum, produced our machines, shipped them to the U.S., and got hit with another 50% tariff at that time, last year, 2025. So we were having 75% tariffs on our product at the time. Now, to access a 25% rate from 50%, the qualifying producer must make a binding commitment to build or expand primary steel or aluminum production facilities inside the United States, not upgrade existing plants, not configure existing lines, new U.S. primary production capacity. This application requires a written document certified by a senior corporate officer, the CFO or general counsel, specifying the proposed U.S. facility's location and expected annual capacity, who the equipment suppliers are, construction contractors, and hiring plans. Binding commitments must include capital expenditure plans, executed construction or equipment contracts, and financing agreement. Can you imagine? Can you imagine putting all this together? Unless you're a multi-billion-dollar big corporation. The company must meet milestones: land acquisition, design completion, construction start, equipment installation, first production, monitored by the Commerce Department. As in quotes here, they say, all your records have to be backed up by your actual accounting records, cost of goods, cost of inventory, accounting journals. All has to be proper so that customs can follow the trail. This was Leo and Pillsbury. No, Robert Leo of Meeks, Shepherd, Leo, and Pillsbury, a supply chain dive of June 23rd, 2026. And this was put out. If Commerce determines a company has failed to substantially meet its equipments, it notifies the border, and previous entries of reduced rate get put back up to 50%. One more constraint that doesn't get enough attention: the 25% rate does not apply to all the company's export. It applies to only quarterly volumes tied directly to the projected annual output of the U.S. facility being built. The more U.S. capacity you commit to build, the more you qualify for the new rate. Yeah, I don't know. That's the government. So, anyways, there's a lot more detail. If you're really interested, I mean, it's beyond our scope to really figure that out. I just wanted to give an education about how things are changing. Section 232 relief program is real, it's open, and for the right producers, it may take a serious look, but it requires documentation that most Canadian producers are not sitting on today. USMCA, CUSMA qualification, proof, melt of origin, verification, accounting records traceable from end to end. If you're a steel or aluminum producer and you're supplying an auto and heavy vehicle, you're big enough to probably figure this out yourselves and already working on it. But for us small manufacturers, I'm just giving you the news. Anyways, that's Jack Jackson, Manufacturers Daily. Free 30-minute call. Links in the description. And we'll see you on Monday.